Hello and welcome to the Agatebay YouTube channel. I'm Joshua, your favorite German agate dealer, and I can't believe it myself, but I am giving these agates another chance. If you've been following my channel from the very beginning, you may know that I cut one batch of Condor agates from Argentina. I think it must have been like 2 or 3 years ago. I paid a lot of money for these high quality stones in rough. I'm saying it like that because I was very disappointed, and it's certainly one of the few materials that I've purchased where even with my creativity and knowledge about how to try to get the best potential out of these stones, I was not able to even hardly make my money back on them. But now I was like, okay, let's give it another chance. A few years have passed. They can change so quickly in the interior banding that windows are not really always giving you a good hint of what could be inside, especially if you have like this kind of yellowy, orange, brownish color tone. This is the one that's the color combination that's the most affected by the chromatography and color changes. And I will give you a little bit of a guidance explaining on what my thought process is of how I'm cutting these specimens from San Rafael, Argentina. You can see this window right here already showing some nice orange and red banding, relatively dark colors. The window extends from over here to over here, so this is the only area I need to avoid. All the other parts of the stones are stone is complete, except for this tiny section here. So I'm going to cut in between those two windows across here and get two pretty equal specimen halves out of it. Sitting in there all nicely now, so let's cut it and see what's hiding inside. This is what it looks like with these earthy tone colors, a little bit of chromatography, small little fracture over here. So this is what you will regularly very often cut out of this material. Of course, when you're buying this high-end material, you wish for a little better, but we do have a couple more pieces to come, and I'm confident it's gonna get better. And this one here seems to have a little bit more intense colored window with a little bit more yellow and red here, which I like. It's opening up to a window on the opposite angled side here. I'm a little bit annoyed here by this area. So this is like a host rock inclusion, which could go a little bit deeper into the stone. So I will give it some room so I don't cut into the host rock as much and get as much agate banding as possible in this nodule. So I will cut a little bit further back here, where you can see on this bump there's at least full agatization, and cut from across here to right over here, leaving like maybe half a centimeter of room so it doesn't get too thin on the left slice. This is the agatized bump I was pointing out, so we're just cutting a little to the right of that, and then here leaving a little bit of space to the window, and then across the entire specimen.
That's pretty nice.
I think this piece turned out a lot more intense than the darker color you could see from the outside. It has developed a lot more rough on the inside, great contrast also with the yellow, pretty sharp banding as well. A lot of times these Condor agates are very washed out, but this one has some high contrast, especially towards the center where it has this black color zone added. And also the host rock here, I've been avoiding most of it. You can see there's such a huge impact of the host rock right here, but it's a lot smaller down here now, so I actually really like that section as well. So overall, I'm very, very pleased with this piece. The third piece looks incredibly promising. The yellow is so intense, the red so intense, much more intense than both of the pieces I've just cut right now. I'm a little bit afraid right here because it looks like it has this darker brownish color that it's like chromatographying over to that side, if that is a word, and probably just cut across here because I like symmetric pieces. I'm cutting super close to the window because like it's such a shallow break that even if I cut slight little bit into it, it won't be even noticeable, but I'm cutting right next to it. On the other side, just here, through that little bump, but it doesn't really matter that much to me. I think the volume is a little thicker to that side, so I don't want to cut further into that to get more of the bump, just because more of the volume is a little bit to the left. But I think it's in there just perfectly now. And now my expectation for this agate is nothing else but perfect. So let's see if it can hold up to that. I really like the symmetry and colors in this piece, great chromatography. I think the host rock here is just gonna pop off probably from from the when it dries out with the grinding and polishing. So I think it's probably just gonna be the clear nodule that's gonna be left, but I think it's a really beautiful specimen. I'm kind of hyped for this piece just because it has so much clarity in the outer layer with this blue chalcedony and inside of it this beautiful yellow agate suspended, and I'm sure there's going to be more banding inside of the yellow because this is just the outmost layers that you can see here, but of course the nodule develops a lot more volume in the piece. There's only another window over here that I need to avoid and some smaller ones like in between here and there. I've been moving this piece around quite a bit, so I think there's more volume to this side here. The only reason why I'm pushing back a little bit more to the inside is this section right here where I don't know how far the hole stroke that's splitting these two nodules is going into the piece. So I'm taking this a little more into account, thinking that it's probably gonna come together, the nodules here further back. That's the reason why I'm leaving a little bit more room, and hope it's a good decision on that.
Almost beautiful.
The colors, it just did not disappoint, but of course these little fractures over here penetrating into the piece and over here to the side, they are a little disappointing for me, but the colors are great. One beautiful big window here up front with a little bit of quartz, but a nice blue layer inside of the kind of orangey brown with a little bit of yellow here to the side. Then there's another larger window here to the side where it shows the same blue, which I think is the flow channel from the core moving out to the side here with a little bit of red. And then over here it's just a big brown blob. So I want to stay a little bit away from that because I'm afraid that most of the back here will be more of the brown banding. But if I cut in between here, I'm at least guaranteed that I will catch some of the blue, because I assume this is just the flow that's moving out here. So I will be cutting next to this window. I've spent a couple minutes now trying to position it as perfectly as possible, but it's just a weird shape with different kind of weird angles. So I don't think there's like one perfect solution, and I found like kind of a middle way now.
Oh, okay. That's nice. Very nice. Wow.
I love the symmetry in this piece. It's got relatively bright colors for a Condor Agate and still a lot of contrast in the banding as well. You can see here even in the darker banding with this dark green and brown, every single band has its structure and is not like kind of washed out. It's really sharp, and I think once polished and professionally photographed, you will be able to see every single layer of this banding. I will have this up on my website, and you can also see the detail up close at the end of the video. It's a very promising nodule. You can see some nice yellow banding with a little bit of red over in this small window and some clear chalcedony here, so that's always nice to have good colorful banding surrounded by clear bands. I really like that combination. So I'm going for the biggest volume in this one, but still like in the concentrated way, just to have a little bit more contrast in the banding if it has some good banding inside. So I think it's all set up now to be the perfect cut. So now it's really just up to the agate itself. I have a little bit of mixed feelings on this one. It is a gorgeous piece in terms of the colors. I mean, just look at the clarity of this deep blue chalcedony surrounding the piece. The chromatography with the yellow just splitting the nodule in half with the outer banding here. Then the beautiful orange in the center core. But I could already hear it while the cutting. It was just making a different sound. That's if you have cut thousands of stones, you will notice that when you cut quartz, it just sounds a little bit different because of the crystal structure, and it's also cutting a little bit faster. So this one was not taking a lot of time to cut at all. I would say maybe 3 minutes for this size of piece. So it was just a little too quick, and also it developed a little bit of a fracture here to the side. So, I mean, it is a beautiful piece, but it could have been a little bit better. But it's pretty nice nevertheless. Pretty interesting nodule right here. You can see it's very elongated, pretty thick, And up here there's a window where it shows gray banding with a little bit of orange in the center core. Right here there's a window that appears a little darker with more gray color. So the gray color is for sure going to stay. The orange is turning more into a brown here from the very outer banding. There's only one way for me that I think is a good decision on cutting it, and that is for a nice round shape like this. So it's sitting in here just the way I like it. So you can see it's a lot wider here on this side, but it's thicker here on this side, but not too far over here, because you can see from the side here, it's actually like kind of dented in. So the volume will be pushing more into that side. So I need to give it some room to develop the banding and volume inside. And I think now is probably just about the perfect angle that I have it in. Let's see how it's going to turn out, because the potential in this piece is pretty high, I would say. It is a really fantastic piece. The purple with the color zoning, the chromatography changing color to this more red color in the center. Also the flow channel so on fire here in the left and bottom right corner. Also the fracture here is fully rehealed, bringing that red color in through the high iron contents. Recrystallizing in this red color, and I think it really just doesn't bother me this much. But curiosity has won. And that means you can actually really see in kind of what angle the fracture is going inside, just because you have the translucency here. So you just got to follow up, like where you see the angle is going to, of the fracture is going to go straight down here. So you can see the fracture following the pen is probably gonna end here in this kind of section, which is one of the weak points. So the fractures, when the agates fracture, they're usually looking for areas like this where there's like a weak point in the nodule. So I want to place a cut back here where this kind of valley is going, and then cut parallel to the butt here. Just because I'm so curious to see what it looks like back here. So down here you can see this is like the valley area right here, so I'm cutting just right next to that, right next to the window, to still give it as much space as possible to open up.
Yeah, nice.
I think it turned out pretty nice. This is what it looks like now. So the fracture, if you follow up with the angle here, this is where the fracture is going. It just probably went right down here, so you cannot see it right here. But I think I just missed it by a few millimeters, which is great, because now I have a fracture-free piece. I would say it has a little bit of a cleaner look, but also, of course, the colorization from the fracture made it a little bit more dramatic. And also, of course, the center banding here is a little bit less now, but I really like the perfection and symmetry in this piece. So I think both of these are great. I'm going to get all of the 3 pieces polished from this specimen, and you will find them up on my website as you're watching this video right now. I would say the overall result of these pieces is very, very good. From my past experience, I would say the last batch I've been cutting, you're welcome to look back on my channel of what it looked like, but I'm much more satisfied with these pieces. I would say there is no killer piece in these. Of course, that's what I'm always hoping for, but realistically, these are very good pieces. The first one is more, I would say, like a regular kind of piece. The second one was very nice with this intense red and yellow color. The chromatography is great. On the third piece, I really like the symmetry in the specimen, so that's a very nice one. On the fourth piece, it's got great colors, just the fractures are, yeah, of course, decreasing the value a little bit, but the colors are great, so I'm probably still getting this one polished and put it up on the website for a little bit more affordable price. Then this next one is one I really like. The banding is so fine and tight. You'll be able to soak in all the details now here from the high quality photography. I love the contrast and symmetry in this specimen as well. I think this is a perfect cut on the piece. The next one, great looking piece. So also I'm happy with this, but of course I paid so much money for the rough stones that because this is so big and heavy, this is probably not going to be profitable for me. And then the last one I think is a very, very wild and interesting piece, and I think that's also a really nice specimen. So also this one is going to be polished up and available on my website. Of course, these are much higher quality and much bigger in size than the rough I'm offering, so the rough is also at a much more affordable price than what I paid for these stones, because these were quite expensive for me to get. I am sure after watching today's video you probably want to cut your own Condor agates, and I'm making these Condor agates available in rough now for the first time, but there's only very limited quantity that I have available. One of the lowest quantities of any rough stones I have ever offered. This is also from my personal cutting stash. There's only 12 lots available, each at 1 kilo, that I have, that you can check out on my website right now as you finish watching the video. And yeah, you might have noticed that I was in China recently, and I just came back from that trip today. Well, as I take the video, it's probably gonna be past a few days now. But yeah, if you follow me on social media, like on Instagram and Facebook, you will typically get some behind the scenes insights, so you know what is happening in the agate world. And I will probably also soon make a short video about that trip as well. Here's a quick announcement. I will be going live again this Sunday starting at 7 p.m. German time. That should be 10 a.m. West Coast time and 1 p.m. East Coast time. The focus this weekend is going to be on agates from the Parpart collection, as well as polyhedroids and many other beautiful rocks this world has to offer. This live show is going to be a little bit shorter than the last ones, since I'm still not 100% back to power after my trip to China and having a video session weekend with my videographer. So we'll probably just be live for 3 or 4 hours this time, but I hope to see you there. So goodbye.